I went to Disney World. A couple of guys went to Disney World. Like,
Well, that's what you do when you
yeah,
win a championship, no?
I mean,
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
to, right?
I didn't see your commercial though. Did you have your own commercial?
No, no
I'm John and I'm
commercial.
going to Disney World. All right, welcome back to the latest episode of Game Day Glare. I'm Lance. I'm with E. This is the podcast for sports videographers. And today we have our two-time guest, John from OKC. And we made a deal, John, last time you were on the show that we'd invite you back once you are an NBA champion. And it came true. So I'm so happy to have you, bud. We want to catch up on all the excitement that you went through last year. But first off, how you doing and how's your team looking this season?
I'm doing good, man. We're looking at a light of All-Star break right now, so it's looking promising for some rest and recouping. But the season's been great. Hot start for our team. Coming back to earth a little bit, but the nice thing about that is we're figuring out who our guys are and where they fit in the system, and it's been enjoyable to watch them play at an elite level again.
Again is right. So I just want to touch back. Last time you were on the show, you brought us through your journey where you were filming with a GoPro, wrestling events. You had an empty backpack full of promises. And I want to fast forward to today where now, you're part of a championship team. You captured all this amazing content last year, from crazy playoff run, finals, summer filled with players with trophies and ring ceremonies and all that. So I just want to know, what's it like looking back at where you started to where you are now, especially just in the transformation of the last 12 months from the last time you were on the show even?
Sure. I mean, it's an immense transformation in the sense of like, what do you do with your goals after they're achieved? Because I can honestly say that like this has been a dream of mine as a young kid watching sports and just wanting to be a part of that. And then, you kind of get with an organization and that's a breakthrough. But then the next realization is like, wow, if something happens amazing here, I'm a part of that. And championship being that, it's just amazing to experience that because there's a lot of us that work in the industry that will never get to experience a championship, maybe even a deep playoff run. So just really grateful looking back on all the things that it took to get there. And then, like I was saying, your goal is achieved. That checkbox is marked in your notebook, in your personal journal. And so it's really pushed me to look at what's next. And the championship is great, and it symbolizes, a lot of hard work and stuff that we did that year. But I'd say that, the whole process is just motivating on what is next. How do you push to the next level?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And also, when you get into the playoffs, like at what point do you first of all start thinking actually, this might actually happen? We might go all the way, and how does that change your work and like the team? Like, does it imply more work? Does it change anything?
Yeah, I think because the year prior to winning the championship, we made a playoff run and then that second round get bounced. And so I think probably around that second round when you win, then it starts becoming like, okay, this is uncharted territory for us. So it's time to lock in and figure out what we are going to take to an even higher tier of games, it being a semifinal and then a final. So um, just I think that was probably the moment of like, this is going further than we probably expected. But at the same time, we felt that what we did in the year prior had prepared us for those later rounds. And so we kind of didn't change our method of what we were doing. We were more gauging the environment of the stadium and what we needed to interject to push our guys. So moments between timeouts and those breaks where there's not much going on, we really focused in on not only how can we get our players going and feeling good with some music, but how can we really engage the fans? And our fans are absolutely amazing. I think for 4 rounds of playoffs, there wasn't very much sitting down, which creates like a want for content. And so filling that need there started to just be the most important thing, and plugging that hole kept us consistent.
And as you guys were going deeper in the playoffs, was that pressure kind of building to make sure that you capture every piece of content? Like, did you guys have to bring in a couple extra crew members, or you guys just handle it yourselves and your shot list just got bigger and bigger as each playoff round went on? Or?
Yes, sir. That's exactly what happens. Because like the environment of the playoffs is so next level, like you're getting so much more emotion out of players. You're getting guys that even in a 4 point run just to get the game tied again, even though it's 4 points, like you're talking about Chet and Shea and Alex Caruso and guys just like very energetic, showing like big high fives, chest bumps, like those big moments that really make your video so much better than like
Mm.
a great play or a dunk. So the pressure to capture those in between moments, definitely like you feel it. You want it for your video, so you're really looking for it. And then you're just trying to share this environment in the video too. So we're updating these videos immediately after the game so that you see fans wearing the shirt that they wore at the last game. And it's very relevant to what's going on. So yeah, we're doing a lot of, hey, can someone go shoot guys putting shirts on chairs? And um, now because we're in the later round of the playoffs, we do a fan fest outside of the stadium 4 hours before the game starts, and there's some amazing footage to be captured at those. And a huge shout out to the contract workers that we brought in from Oklahoma City. There's a very talented group of shooters and um, third party guys and independent contractors that really helped take us to the next level. And so it wasn't just our team alone, but it was finding people who had maybe touched base with us before and giving them a shoot that was FanFest, or asking guys, can you time lapse driving through downtown, because there's so much installations and things that show pride for the Thunder, and we couldn't possibly leave the edit bay to go shoot t-shirts and go be at
Yeah.
FanFest because we're taking care of some of the in arena stuff. So Lance, what you're saying about the shot list doubling and just getting bigger and more immense, and then also added pressure because you're in the playoffs and you kind of know what's at stake there. So all of those things, but at the end of the night, we're coming together and we're talking and we're guiding those third party shooters and even our own people to like what worked, what didn't, and so the communication in that process relieves a lot of that pressure.
Mm. And I can't remember, like, was the last game a home game?
Yeah, how lucky were we?
So
Uh,
do you prepare like do you prepare differently for that? Like do you call like if we do win like in the last 10 minutes, we're gonna do this and that, and then after this,
yeah, yeah,
just
it's exactly what you're saying. It's if A happens, then we do B and C, and then if D happens, we go E. And so Um, having multiple plans is obviously more pressure. You take time to make a plan for each thing that happens. Fortunately, in like a more uh, in a situation where we don't win, that does leave less work in the sense that we're not going to be making videos about the loss or sharing that. Um, I genuinely feel for the Pacers organization and their guys because they worked just as hard as we did. I watched a lot of their in arena content because we're watching the games at home when they're away, and nobody's really trying to leave any stone unturned. And when we won, it was really weird. I could see some of their guys and I just felt for them because they were going to leave the arena that they had to travel to. Um, and it that does hurt a little bit. You didn't win. So I feel for those guys who put in that work, and the fold on the other end is not something that you get to enjoy. So we know that we got to experience something very special, and we're all really grateful, and we know what it takes for a team to go that far and not get that from our previous year. So there's not anyone that's working inside of those games on either side of the coin that is not just absolutely grinding.
So since you guys did win, where were you when that clock ticked down to 0? And what was the first thing that you captured or had to run to? Because that has to be one of the most exciting moments. Like, you're stuck in your spot wherever you were, and then you have to go and film it. So can you like walk us through as that clock ticked down, what you had to do and where you had to go? And
Yeah. So I'd say that's probably where it got a little bit crazy, just because um, you don't know who's going to win the game. And so the networks that are planning what they're going to do as far as trophy presentation and things like that, you're talking about like, okay, either these guys win or the other guys win, and we have to either credential this group or that group. And then we have to collect that group during the game so that you can get a credential and be where you need to be. So the first battle was, and it's to nobody's fault at all. There's 1,000 things going on, but um, there's vests, and then there's armbands, and just depending on what you have is where you're allowed to be. And so I'm going to the network and saying, here's who I am. This is where I need to be. And they hand me a vest, and so I have the vest on. And when the clock is ticking down, I get the vest at about the fourth quarter. So the break between 3 and 4, they give it to us. They give it to us with the idea that if the game starts to turn the other way, you have to come find that network person and give that back. But I had a green vest, says finals on it, super cool. And I'm standing at the corner of the court on the side that we're shooting on, and I'm standing. There's not anyone in the building that isn't standing. But I didn't have like an actual baseline spot to sit for the game. So I was kind of working the upper 100 level and getting my shots from there. And then I moved down as soon as we were down to 2 minutes. I got the most amazing shots when I moved down, and I should have moved down earlier just because people were standing. And so that gave you like a vantage point that you normally wouldn't even get because we can stand around fans, but you really have to be careful of who you are in the way of. People are paid a lot of money to be at a game 7, so you really want to be out of the way. I end up at the corner. Clock is ticking down. As soon as the clock hits 0, they're roping the court. Like, they don't want anyone on the floor that's not supposed to be there. So then I'm under a rope, and I have a 70 to 200 because I've been shooting game action. What I would have loved is to strap something with a 16 to 35, just because I ended up in the mix, man. I'm like shoulder to shoulder with people, and I'm like, I don't know if you know, but I can't see anything right now.
Yeah, of course.
too close, man.
Yeah, but what I did get was really special. I got Kenrich just hurling the ball into the air at the end of the game. And as the ball goes up, I come and rack down, and confetti's coming too. It's just a lucky shot. It's pure luck. But I know, like, from working more intense games, that I don't need to be chasing spots. Like, I need to just go out and organically be where I am, and it will come to me. There's 6 other of my guys out here. We're all rolling. So just trusting where you're at, and you're getting something that someone's not, making sure you're not standing right next to your guy is important.
Yeah.
Um,
So you're working more by like areas of like, okay, these two are baseline, these two are in the crowd, these
yeah.
two are whatever.
Yeah, and then here the vest comes back into play. And I don't know who, but somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, green vests are not allowed on the court." And I'm like, "Oh, that's crazy. I have to be here right now." So I was like, "Oh, sorry." And I kind of like turned around, got behind three people, ripped the vest off, put it like jam it in my pocket. And then I get onto the platform that I'm supposed to be on, because at this time, player family and a lot of people are just making their way to the court. So the court is blocked off and it is full. Thank the Lord, me being a short guy, I have a platform to stand on, and it was directly across from where they were going to do the trophy ceremony. So good vantage point, 70 to 200 was the right lens for that. Felt good about being there with that gear. And after that, it was kind of just like, man, just roll on this. But at the same time, I think a lot of, if you could see me shooting in that moment, was just checking my frame for reference and then a whole lot of this. Cause it was just super loud and I mean, fans were crying and screaming. I mean, you're talking about a city that probably doesn't end up with an NBA team without the miraculous things that happen with, just the way that the team comes to the city, and the whole like identity of having Kevin Durant and Westbrook there, and then them not being there, and having this gap of time where they're not winning games, and um,
Yeah.
experiencing the first championship for a city. I mean, I'm not from Oklahoma City, but you could feel that Oklahoma City was a champion, and that was amazing. I mean, you didn't have to be from anywhere to feel that in our building.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Especially like, I guess we kind of felt a similar thing when Toronto won, because it was such a, it's a Canadian team. They were pretty bad for at least a decade, and like, there was a gradual sort of thing, and then there was like one opportunity. It's like, it has to be this year. It's this year and nothing, and then it worked out. So it was like, all right, cool. But
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you about the classic locker room, celebration footage. Like, were you there first of all, and if so, or if like the other guys, like, what are you wearing, and how are you protecting your camera? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So for our team, we are Thunder Vision and part of the in arena show. Because that's such an intimate and special moment, our organization does a good job of making sure that those stay special. So that's our team videographer who's in there. He's great. His name's Alex Dawson. I love uh, his style. He's a guy that just he gets everything somehow. So when you miss, it's really nice to know that Dawson didn't miss. Um, but he's in the locker room with a trash bag over his body, and they bought tons of bags, like camera bags you can buy, that basically have like a zip seal where the lens is exposed, and that's it. But they definitely needed that because the footage shows an immense amount of champagne being sprayed everywhere. So super cool moment. I got to experience a G League championship and be in the locker room for that. Uh, hey, I brought the GoPro back out because that bad boy is waterproof and no
Smart.
problem there. So that's what I used. But we got some great footage from those guys in the locker room, and I think the funniest takeaway was that they're so young that some of them didn't know how to pop the champagne bottle, and so that moment was captured on video and lived pretty good for a while after. And that's Dawson, and that it's just great to see that kind of stuff.
So what was that switch from like filming competition all year to all of a sudden filming all these celebrations all summer? And what was your summer like being a part of an NBA championship organization?
Organization did for us that was really unexpected for all of us videographers and shooters and editors was For the parade, they said, we got it covered. We're going to get it contracted, and we're going to have you guys actually be in the parade. And we don't want you to feel like you have to document this part of the process. And so a parade was a huge deal. I mean, that it covers a long span of our downtown area. And um, it's not easy. There's thousands of people out there, and you're chasing guys that are running down the street. And I know our social team was very involved in shooting that, so I know that they didn't get the opportunity that Thunder Vision got to be on the parade. So we had boots on the ground, and but I just think it's really special that some of us were given the opportunity to just ride on a float, and they're just taking us through downtown. We're way ahead of the players and everything, but like as we're going through, like people are cheering, and we're nobody. Shay is in a bus 10 buses behind me, like but they're just, the whole city just so supportive in that moment. And so just to get to experience that was awesome. Our work kind of switched after the parade to kind of collect video and sequence some of those shots that we got during the championship, during the parade, during the trophy ceremony, like immediately after the game. Our social, we were allowed to run a lot of that content for a couple days, so it was really cool to like be able to share your shot, and then you kind of got your own individual post, and then somebody else would get it, and then it's like, man, we're all just like on fire on social right now. So it's cool to see our stuff make it to that platform when normally it's something you see in arena.
That's so cool they gave you that opportunity though, because a lot of other organizations would probably feel like, okay, no, we have to capture all this. But I think that's amazing that they said you guys enjoy it. You worked hard all season. What is it like
Huge
being on
gift.
that float, man? Like, what's that experience like? Because I've only seen it on TV. Like, what are you doing? You're just waving and grabbing people, throwing you beers. What's going on that float?
All that. They put like bottles of water on our float because it was hot that day, and we really should have been drinking them, but we were just cracking them and throwing water. And yeah, I mean, it's unreal to think about right now that we got to be in a float with just our guys. And so, the moment that we passed by the championship banner, we were on the float taking selfies and pictures of each other. And that's where you really realize that, like, that's your family. These are the guys that got you through. And so to experience like being celebrated next to those people, it's probably more important than the championship. It is. It's the relationship that you have with, Jason. All of us are so close. We spend so much time together outside of work. So to share a moment like that is awesome. I'm getting emotional because I'm thinking about my guy Connor, who grew up in Oklahoma City, and I got to watch him just champion. Like, he's seeing people in the crowd that recognize him, and man, what a cool moment for a guy that grew up in Oklahoma City. So to share that and him share that with me, that's gold.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like at one point, do you go, all right, like, obviously you soak it all in, all these great moments. And then at what point is it like, all right, now we got to transition to starting thinking about next year, and how does the next year change? Like, do you approach, well, obviously there's going to be some sort of celebration in the first home game, all that sort of stuff. But like, how do you approach next season differently than the one before because of the championship?
Well, we all got a break right after all the things settle. Um, a lot of social ended up traveling with players to their hometown to share those moments with those players' hometowns, and really cool. But those guys are jumping. I mean, social is jumping right back into work. I don't think that
Yeah,
they
imagine.
got the break. But we were given 2 weeks, and so that was really nice. It was like, check in, work as we needed to. There's little things to be kept up, but it wasn't like, man, get in here, grind for 8 hours, and do it for 2 weeks. But so that time was really nice. I went to Disney World. A couple of guys went to Disney World. Like,
Nice.
Well, that's what you do when you
yeah.
win a championship, no?
I mean,
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
to, right?
I didn't see your commercial though. Did you have your own commercial?
No, no
I'm John and I'm
commercial.
going to Disney World.
No commercial. I will say though, if you go to Disney World and you let them know why you're there, they make it special.
Oh.
So that's cool.
Really? Actually, while you were in Disney World, E and I were in Florida at the same time and we were seeing your posts.
No way.
Yeah, we were there at the same time in August. Yeah. But we didn't have any free time. But I saw your post while you were there, but I didn't click that you went to Disney World because you're an NBA champion. I thought you were just on vacation, you know?
Yeah, no, I said that was what we were gonna do, so that's what we did. I ended up doing mine a little bit after the immediate 2 week break. So there is even windows of time that the org allows us to take vacation, use your vacation time. So that's what I did. But I think like to speak to what you're asking about, it's quick. It's the turnaround is quick. So after the dust settles for 2 weeks, we're definitely planning media day. It's the first meeting that we had back, and there's a lot of bigger elements to that. So getting ahead of that as far as you can is important. It really showed in our media day content this year. I thought it was some of our strongest content, but it is because we immediately got back into a room together and decided what was going to be carried over. Like, an important conversation was we had created these immense moments in arena with like certain songs, and it's like, what are we going to take that was a playoff thing and put into the regular season next year? And is that feasible? Does that make sense to do that in the regular season? So there's some videos that we have that were in like those breaks that I was talking about. They're like, let's leave that. That fills a hole even in regular season. So let's keep that going. So now we're adding a video to the regular season mark of videos that we didn't have last year. And so we're adding. And then to speak about like what's coming in the first game of the season, as you mentioned, it's a ring ceremony for the players, and it's the first time that we raise the banner, and it's a really big moment. And at the same time, there's a regular NBA basketball game that has to be played after that. So it kind of turns into two events, and you just take it step by step. I know that sounds so cliche, but you learn from the league what they need and what they have planned for that ceremony, and then we plan around, hey, their shooters will be here, this is where we'll be. And the network guys are great. They'll let you work a shoulder. So a lot of guys will say, hey man, just tap my shoulder, connect with me, and we'll walk together. And you're getting all of the stuff that you want to get, that obviously network is getting. But just taking it step by step and learning what that's like, and then saying, okay, this is a place where we can shoot. Let's put a shooter there. This is how that works. And everyone kind of gets their own individual plan. And then at the end of creating content and putting all that together, it hopefully looks streamlined and like you had a good plan. So
I'm guessing, the first home opener must have been very emotional for you guys. First of all, you're putting together a home opening video, but then you're also putting a championship recap video together too. So what was that opening night like for you? Because it's the first time you're experiencing, you're reliving that championship with those guys again in that same arena where they won it. What was that like?
yeah, it's really parallel to the night of winning the championship, because for that ring ceremony, like you're saying, there's an immense amount of content that has to be created for that night too. So we did something special and ran like 2 to 5 minute recaps of each series of the playoffs. And so those have to be created, and that creates pressure before a regular game that still needs a fourth quarter video and a halftime video. And so the pressure to get those done and make them look good, because it's history. Um, the pressure's high, but in that moment of like, okay, we made it to the game, the content is loaded, and now it's playing, just relief. I mean, and cool again, cool opportunity again is, you're in the arena and they're raising the banner, and you're a part of that again. And so it's very parallel to that feeling of like, wow, all the work, here's the payoff. And then all the work going into game one, we get to live half an hour of the payoff for the ceremony. And then we just go back into game mode. And uh, props to everyone in the building who never let the moment get the best of them. Everyone knew that as soon as all the cool stuff happened, it was time to pick up a camera, get to your spot, and shoot intro. So
And gear wise, I don't know. I'm thinking you win the championship, the team makes more money, so there's a bit more money to spend. Like, did you guys do any upgrades? Did you get some new gear?
that was the cool from a videographer's side. That's the coolest part about like advancing through the playoffs is that all of a sudden like budgets are just like okayed and sent through, and so you're like, dude, this is crazy. So Jason and I are just like putting our heads together like, hey, this is an amount that we could invest in our playoffs and that the org wants to invest in playoffs. So how can we make it better? And our option was to pick up two of the RED Komodos that had jumped significantly down in price, I assume because of the merge and all the things that are going on with those companies. Made it very affordable for us to pick up two RED Komodos. And instead of what we had initially planned for, which was, hey, let's shoot everything that's like ceremony, like you guys are talking about, big moments. Let's shoot all that on RED so it looks absolutely amazing and we can fix anything on the back end with it. It turned into these cameras look phenomenal. Let's plug one in to the board and see what that looks like. And we loved it. I mean, we felt like those moments when you're watching a baseball game and you see the guy running from third to home, and it's a Ronin and a cinematic camera. We all love those moments as sports fans. I mean, because you're kind of like, man, we went from watching a game to watching a movie,
Yeah, exactly.
and uh, that's kind of what happened with our in arena show with this camera. We call it Cam 9. We've got a guy named Joshua. He's he was in his first year of employment with us and absolutely crushed. I mean, this guy is beating sweat every night, and I mean, we're like getting him new shoes because he's like, dude, my feet hurt. And I'm like, dude, anything you need, you have the hottest camera on the floor. Um, he did a great job of making sure that that camera was in places of fans and players, and cool things that we were doing was taking his shot on a free throw and he's walking like one little tiny alleyway between two seats, and you just get this nice left to right pan that moves, and all of a sudden you're watching the board and you're like, this is our show, like we're doing this live right now. So we wouldn't have been able to do that without the money, the equipment, and then having guys that were willing to say, I'll run a camera that I've never run before and I'll run it during a playoff game. um, so it was really cool to see guys jump in and do that, and huge big ups to the org for noticing that like video content in that moment, how you present it is so important, and giving us the opportunity to test that and show it and proof of concept. And now every night there's a RED on the floor with a Ronin. So we've integrated it fully, and we just want to keep learning those type of things that can make our show better.
Now, are you
So
still rocking a Sony also, or are you trying to get a RED for you too?
Yeah, man, I need the RED on the baseline. I really want it there. The problem is, I think the autofocus is still a little bit in beta, and so with as fast as basketball moves, not even close to hockey, but as fast as the game is going, um, it's not there yet, I don't think, personally. So I am on the FX3. I feel like that's just a camera that is a workhorse for us. It's a sure thing, and so we rely on it being a sure thing. But the goal is to get a RED down on the baseline handheld so that we're getting that extra depth and that extra color. And
So are you shooting it in 8K? Are you shooting in 8K too, or no?
on the Reds, because of storage, like we're teaching our IT group now that, like, hey, these upgrades in equipment have to come with an upgrade in storage.
Yeah.
So to alleviate a little bit of stress, we are only shooting them in 4K, and then we're downsizing and frame sampling. So um, we haven't pushed those cameras as far as they can go, and so that's cool to still have an opportunity with some gear that you haven't even pushed the limit on.
Yeah, because that's the classic, even for just like solo shooters, like you buy a new camera and you're all excited, and then you realize once you start using it, how much more data it produces than your previous camera, and how slower your computer feels right now. And it's like, oh, all these things I didn't really bang on, and I need new SD cards or CF cards now or something. And then it's like, yeah, there's all these extra expenses that you didn't plan for, but now you're kind of stuck with it, and you kind of, I either spend the money or I'm working on a laggy computer that has no space for what I'm shooting. So it's like, oh,
Yeah.
guess I have to do it. But
Well, even just the what you call it, the quality of the 8K footage to go to your scoreboard is complicated. You know, like to have the red footage on the scoreboard, you have to down convert it because it's way too heavy, it's way too crisp. Because even us, we have the state of the art scoreboard. It's not really 1080. You know, like it looks 1080, it looks HD, but all those scoreboards aren't really as high a resolution as you think. So that's another complication that these new cameras
yeah,
bring.
especially if you're not at the professional level, or like, lower kind of leagues that don't have the same budgets. Like, changing the jumbotron or the system, the software that comes with it is a massive expense. So usually it's been the same system for like a decade, so it only takes like a specific file that's like 576 by something, like it's not even, and that's what you have to give it, otherwise the whole system crashes, and it is what it is. So you have to produce like really, but it doesn't, like, people don't realize, like, often, like on the jumbotron, it's just like little lights, so it doesn't have to be as crisp and as sharp as what you produce for social media or for television or something. Like on the screen like that, like it looks good because of the size of it. And so, but people don't realize how, like, often, maybe not at the NBA, but like when I was in Australia, for example, like those stadiums had, like, yeah, the screens weren't that. I think they were 720 or something like that, or maybe like one of them I think was even smaller than that. And yeah, it works.
Yeah. We have a good little reminder of what our board used to look like, because they actually took what was our old main board and put it in the corner. They separated it as
Yeah.
just and put it in the side of the stadium. So you can always, if you're frustrated with the new board, you can always look over to the old board and see that it doesn't even come close to it
Yeah.
size wise. So you get thankful again. If we could just get the boards to all accept 23.97 frame rate, that would make my heart feel good, because that's my sweet spot, and they only take 60, and I'm like, it's so tough. And when you see the difference between the looks, oh, it hurts your videographer heart.
It does. Or you get videos from outside people and you have to convert them from 30 frames to 60 frames, and you're like, you see the little blemishes in timing.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, we're
Hitching,
just airing it anyway, guys.
It's
Sorry.
hitching, but we're going. Yep.
And that the other issue, well, not with like arenas, but stadiums, is that now, like, most of them have like super wide like screens. So then you get all these like TV commercials, for example, they're all 16:9, and then somehow you gotta make it work full screen on a double the size, double the width screen. So it's either you're adding stuff on the sides, or you're doubling up, or you're punching in, and it creates a whole new like, I remember, like, for me, like, especially like in Australia, I was working on soccer, rugby, things like that, and now, like, you have to produce everything it was literally like double the width of a 16:9. So you do a lot of full screen, but you do a lot of split screen as well, and then you have to, like Lance was saying, everything that's coming from external suppliers, you have to convert it and change it somehow. So it's all this extra work because someone thought that a bigger screen is cool, which it is, but like there's all that coolness someone has to pick up and work on it to make it work, and it's usually us, and it's like, oh, I'm not benefiting from any of this.
Looking back at your championship experience, what was your aha moment? That one moment that just stands out for you throughout your, either when the clock hit zero or throughout the summer. What's that one moment that you could share with us that was like, wow, I made it. I'm here.
Great question. I think it's probably sharing the moment with my dad. I mean, he's the reason that I like sports. He took me to every Denver Broncos, Colorado Rockies game. He sat through every practice, every game that I played. Um, to have him in the rafters when we won, and you see that moment that players look up and find their family. I got to do that, and so sharing that moment with my dad was like, that's what it's all about. To come full circle in a moment, and uh, to be able to see him, hug him, have him in the office after the game, and share the moment that the whole crew got to have. We had our own little champagne, and obviously not spraying it everywhere over computers and gear, but
Expensive equipment, no way.
yeah. But just my dad was there, and my mom also got to come to games. So um, having them in the building when that's happening, and I never got to hit a home run as a kid or score a touchdown, but that felt like maybe running to the end zone and seeing Pops give you a good cheer. It means the world, and thank God for my parents.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So are they still in Colorado? So like they made the trip for the playoffs, or?
Yeah, man. My mom lives in Texas. My dad lives in Colorado, and just both of them obviously want to come to games, and so mom was able to make these games. Dad's able to make these ones, and um, I got extra room at the house, so it was really cool. I mean, Dad made two trips on airplanes, and that's not cheap, and so for him to come into town and not know like what the outcome of the previous round was going to be, and still buying a plane ticket just in case. Super cool, man. Just awesome.
Oh, that's cool. And so now, like after winning the championship and everything, like how do you, like what's the new goal? Like where do you go from there in terms of like as a personally, but also like as a team? Like how do you motivate the troops? Like how does that work?
Yeah. So we have like obviously a set amount of videos that we know live in the season. We call ours the Big Six, and there's about nine of them now. Nine videos that live in this Big Six category, and we're just keeping it like the Big Ten, even though you're gonna add teams, will just be the Big Ten. But we just look at those videos and see how they were leveled up. Like, what did we do in the playoffs? Why did we put guys celebrating in those videos? Because it drew more emotion. And so now we're going back to our marketing and branding and saying, we really want to make sure this is injected into this year, and that we carry that emotion through, because in the previous year it had been a lot of us showing that we only want to show that we're grinding, and that we don't really want to see players um, not like necessarily smiling. They weren't against showing them guys having a good time, but we were just really wanted to put out that we were hustling, and we knew that
Mm.
whatever we were going to have to get was going to come by the hustle. What was really cool from the org was for them to say, hey, we hustled. Um, let's show these guys. Let's give them more personal character. Let's invest in who they are as a person on the court. And so now when we're cutting video and we're adding Alex Caruso, we're adding those moments of him firing up the team which is something that he does that no other guy on our team does. And so making sure we're having those moments in the videos is really important, because now it's changed how our videos look. And so knowing that we can now put that in a video, we've got guys shooting ISO on 600 millimeter lenses just to get the facial reaction, because we know we can use it. A lot of those elements are awesome because they are elevating the product. You see it on a regular Tuesday night with the intro video that our guy Darren cooks, and it's on another level. And I think that comes organically more than it comes from being planned. It comes from seeing the bar set high in a playoff game and knowing that you have the bandwidth to make that happen in a regular season. The only element that changes is the playoff visuals. So playoff flags, playoff shirts, those are obviously reserved for playoff videos. Intense emotion, big rises and falls in tracks, and really playing with emotion of people in the stadium. And I mean, sometimes it's not even content that does it. We do a shutdown sequence now that started in the playoffs, and it's cool, man. We make it look like the video board glitches out and boo, we're powered down. But then that creates this moment of rise again, where now we're presenting the intro video. And now there's like this little bit of more emotion to presenting the intro video that wasn't there before. And we're bringing that into our regular night of show. So just making sure that we're always pushing the limit for us is important, and knowing that because we've done it, we can do it.
I was going to ask you if it's hard to stay hungry, but I mean, just from hearing you, you're still hungry. So
Yeah,
what I want to know is, what are you trying to level up personally and creatively this year?
Yeah, man, this might be a weird answer, but when you're making content for sports teams, we all know that you have like this box that you live in, right? Where you can be creative, but there are guidelines of how that box works and if it ever moves. As someone who's like feels really creative, sometimes you just have to get that out. So personally, I will cut videos that will never see the light of day, in the sense of just trying things and seeing how it works. And then it becomes a tool that you can bring to a meeting and say, I don't want to just talk about this. I have something to show. So investing in stuff that, is not like put on your plate as a, hey, we need this for the game or whatever, but just getting into your edit bay on a night that you feel I'm ready to edit something and cutting something. And then you in that moment get to decide what it is. Like, I don't have to do revisions on this video if I don't want to, because this is kind of my thing now. Still making sure that you're doing something that you can bring to the table, because you don't want it to be for nothing. But at the end of the day, like, you have to be willing to say, I'm not married to this in the sense that it needs to live in arena. I'm doing this because I just want to see how I can push myself there. And then weirder part is that even taking like things that aren't sports, or that aren't your everyday like grind that you see through the lens every day. I uh caught this weird passion again in Disney World for Star Wars, and I'm like fully back into that world of loving. Like, I don't care if that could never happen in real life. I love how creative that feels. And so like on a Sunday, I'll take some action figures down to like the Stockyard City and shoot action figures. And I found like this weird passion of photoing action figures, of Star Wars action figures. And what I love about it is kind of what I was talking about before, was that I'm in charge of that. I get to say what that looks like. And I not only that get to say what it feels like, but I get to feel like the process is completed, because I will shoot, edit, and then either post or whatever I'm doing with it. And that feels like complete. That feels like start to end to me. And I need that in my personal life. And I feel like maybe in the sports world, we don't get enough of that because we're always adding something. How can it be better? What is something that's missing from this project? And so it's really like so fulfilling to have something where you say, this is my process. This is my A, this is my B, and I got here to there and it's done. And to be able to do this at the end with something is incredible. You got to have that feeling of accomplishment and finish. And not to say that we don't get that in the sports world, but more often than not, you are looking at a finished product going, what is next for this?
That's awesome. It's funny because I kind of started beyond the game for similar reasons, because I was like you described a bit about sports. Like I can definitely feel that, and also because I was working as a I had different clients. Like I had an agency, so working with different teams. So I felt like I was always working for clients and never really having my own projects, and that's how I needed exactly what you just described. I needed my own thing where I could just be the creative mind and not have someone tell me what they wanted the vision to be. Like just have my own vision and take it from start to finish. And here we are. So it's I
Yeah.
can definitely relate.
It's nice to not have all those layers of approval. Sorry, it's nice to not have all those layers of approval, especially when you're working for a team. Even though you have a great video, there's always someone who has to approve it, someone who has to take a look at it, you know? And doing your own projects, like you was just explaining, you have that freedom where
Yeah.
when you're happy with the project's done.
Yeah.
Right.
It's cool to say that.
And do you put like, is there any added pressure, like for either from yourself or from the higher ups? It just sort of, I don't know. Now you're on the big stage. Everybody around the league is looking at you guys. Like, do you feel any extra pressure?
Yeah, I think you'd be naive to say that that didn't exist. In the sense that across the board, we all want to do better. We want to help our corporate partnerships for the companies they're bringing in. We want to make sure that they've got cool things to offer back to those companies because at the end of the day, that's what's bringing in a lot of money. So the pressure to continue that is there, and I think we're kind of talking about approvals. I think our approval process has gotten like a couple layers deeper with some more people involved, but maybe that's because they're motivated by the championship to maybe that's what they needed to feel like they wanted to give more to the process or whatever the reasoning. There just is that extra level of eyes on what you're doing, and um, I feel like we've risen to the challenge, especially this year. I'm probably preemptively sharing, but we won an Addy Award for one of the videos we did already this year, and so that came from us taking a video that uh, is basically a 30-second piece of our MC kind of telling the fans what they're about to get into, and us giving our marketing giving us the opportunity to make something cool. We kind of took a lot of Spike Lee style angles of shooting really high up and down and low high, and we ended up with a solid piece. And so I think the pressure of those eyes is what made our team want to create something really special, because you want to step up to the plate, you want to hit a home run. uh, Not always do they go out the park and you trot the bases super easy, but for that video it was like, okay, there's an immediate example of us trying to do something more, and then being recognized for it is obviously really nice. But to have it as a piece that not only is recognized but is really strong in our show, it's very encouraging.
Awesome.
So as you head into the second part of the season, what are you looking forward to? What's obviously the goal is another championship, but as your team, as a team member, what are you guys looking forward to, and what are you trying to accomplish for the last part of the season?
Yeah, I think we're really looking forward to just expanding the show, because of the things that we tried during moments that were untested, like during playoffs, if we're running a, a hype video or trying to implement a moment. We were given that opportunity, and uh, a lot of a lot of times there would need to be a lot more testing for some things to happen. So because we were able to uh, efficiently execute a lot of those plans that were felt like, man, that might have just been an idea on the wall at the moment, but it actually turned into something tangible in the show. I think a lot of those like revisions and the layers of looking at stuff, they trusted us a lot to take things immediately to the game. So that trust didn't go away when the new season started, which is really nice, because now if there's an idea and you feel like, hey, this could be an asset to the show or this could work, we're being told yes immediately, and so I think just making sure that we're not going crazy with that opportunity, and not like doing things so far outside of what we normally do, but knowing that if you see something in our show and you see a moment that can be made more intense or more complete, that we have the opportunity to do so. So I look forward to this second half of this season, obviously seeing how that season plays out, and just being ready with those types of ideas and that readiness to execute, and then falling back on some of the securedness that you feel of already done it. So not that we're like scared to work any of these games or that it brings any type of fear, but just knowing that, like, okay, if we make it to a semifinal round, we kind of know like how many people are going to be in the building, how many network shooters there's going to be, where the spots were that there aren't anymore, or where we need to go find new spots. Because I mean, you start shooting these games and one vantage point for you feel like you're not doing enough, and so you kind of want to offer more as a videographer back to someone who's editing, or just back to yourself, because um, staying in one place made sense in that first semifinal, because I don't want to lose my spot. I don't want to, if I leave here, someone else might be here. And so feeling comfortable going, I'm going to move this spot and I'm going to find something else. And I'm going to use the rest of this regular season to find those spots, so that when the playoffs come, I'm not really frantically searching. I'm kind of just checking some spots that I had maybe marked in the regular season. So I think all of that encompasses like a new, um, um, what am I trying to say? Like a new encouragement of like, you feel safe to go do and try in those moments, when in the other previous times you had been in those situations, you kind of hold on to what you know. So getting a little bit more free in those moments, and knowing that even if you don't make it to the most amazing spot ever to get the most amazing shot, that at some point these spots and these things are going to start working themselves out, and you're going to know where you're going, and being confident in moving to those areas.
Mm. I guess my last question for you would be, is there anything, and like my question is basically like, do you have like little ideas, like video ideas or concepts or things like that that you haven't done yet in for OKC, and that you're either planning or wishing that, because it could be difficult to do for money, or just like or organization or time or whatever, but like, are you like thinking about new ideas, new things that you could implement either this year or at some point in the playoffs, or something like that, without, obviously you don't, probably if you do, you probably don't want to go too deep into it and keep that ace in your pocket, but is that like something that you think about, you try to come up with like things we haven't done before and then suggest it to the team, and like, is that part of the job or the process, or?
Absolutely. For our group, we know that putting our heads together and being in the same room is really important. We also work really close in our area. We have like a little back section of the office that has all the edit bays, but that we're kind of all able to see each other at all times, which helps for like ideating and asking, am I crazy for thinking that this could work right away? So that when you are bringing ideas to an actual meeting, you feel like you've vetted them out a little bit. But I want to say like 2 or 3 weeks ago, so before we even hit a halfway point in the season, we had a playoff meeting about content and what that could be. And those meetings are bring everything, bring the crazy ideas, bring the stuff that you don't think could work, but it's an idea. And we put them all on the board, and I mean, nobody's idea is not on this board. And then the second process of that meeting is what's actionable? What can we do like today that helps us going into the playoffs so that you're not making it right away? And so like we've done a video for the playoffs called our Thunder Up moment. And it's a really simple idea, but it's a video that literally just shows 2 or 3 seconds of slow-mo of a guy in game, followed by a slow-mo clip of him in a media day set, and then his number and name appear, and then we go to the next. We didn't think it was going to be anything amazing. It turned out being the best moment of pregame. And it's just an opportunity for fans to see their favorite player, and when they see him, they go crazy. It's so simple, but that was something that was born from a playoff meeting, and so now that's part of our next playoff run. But like you're saying, there's some ideas in there for this year that seem crazy, but we're gonna try and pull them off. And I think, just like I said before, just getting the heads together and way before playoffs, deciding like what's actionable, and then what can we do? What do we need to like put a down payment on so that it can happen during the playoffs? Getting ahead of that is clutch. I mean, because then you're not putting on these third party companies the pressure that you're feeling in the playoffs. You're like, hey, it is now February, and we would like to talk about some lighting on the court, if it's as simple as that. And so now your availability of what you have to choose from is way wide open. And we're kind of doing that in some camera rentals too. We're working with Sony, and so getting ahead of it and saying playoffs is coming. They're saying things like, how about a Burano? And that's not available 2 weeks before the game starts, but it is available 4 months before the game starts. So it as early as you can get into those discussions, I think is huge, because not only has it afforded us like the creative freedom to not feel that pressure, but like I'm saying with Sony, like they're able to offer us so much because we've come so early to them, and shout out to them, because they have sent us gear this year. They sent us gear for the ring ceremony, and that kind of bred this new conversation of what would you guys like to try during playoffs when it really counts. And so we're going to be at a huge advantage using cameras that we're not paying for, like not buying, but renting, and able to have those like proof of concepts with hardware and gear.
No, it makes sense.
So, John, thank you so much for taking time and telling us your experience and all that. I have one last question for you. So now everything you've been through this year, if you ran into that kid with the backpack and the GoPro, the John who started this videography journey, what would you say to him?
I'd probably say that just the showing up every day, the doing it when you didn't think that it counted, it mattered. It made all the difference in the world. And I would probably say that it's not gonna, that what I thought back then was gonna complete me did not complete me. It wasn't that we won the championship. It wasn't that I'm now a part of a team that got to experience that. That's amazing. I think what completed me was my relationship with with Jace, with Connor, with Spencer, with Depop, with Sharble, with Julia, with Joshua. I mean, I can go Darren. This list goes on, and it's people that I'll be able to call for the rest of my life. It's people that would have seen me with a backpack and still recognize me. So that's what I would say to that person, is that you are chasing something that you think might complete you. And I want you to keep chasing it, because in that process, you're going to find out what actually completes you.
That's perfect.
Yeah, man. So that's a great way to end it. I know you're getting got a little emotional there, but you know what? When you look back at your career and you see where you've come in that, I mean, you've come a long way, and you're an NBA champion. You're working for a championship organization. You're putting out great stuff. You're constantly improving. You're constantly making your craft better. And I just want to say thank you for spending time with us and walking us through, because we've never experienced what you've experienced yet. I'm hoping one day I can. I'm hoping one day maybe the Canadians together. But you know what? To see a friend like you achieve that, we're very proud of you, and we're very proud of the journey you guys went through. So I just want to thank you again for taking time and being on the podcast.
Man, I'm so appreciative of you guys. It may seem like this is only a conversation that happens in a podcast, but Lance and you guys are hitting me up, and it's nice to have, I know I can call E at any moment and say, hey bro, have you ever used this piece of equipment and how did it work? Just like that connection is awesome. So I hope you guys feel just as fulfilled by that, because honestly, when you have guys that you can call up and say, I'm really in the thick of it, or on the other side, like, I just need to chat to someone who knows what's going on. You guys have been a great support system in that sense, to know that, hey, we can always hit these guys up. So not only am I appreciative of that, but I know our group appreciates having the relationship. And so thank you guys for recognizing, asking someone to be here and talk and share their story. I'm honored to be on the show, so I really appreciate it. And twice, so I'll flex that one time.
That's it. You're our first 2-time guy. All right. Well, thank you so much, John. And that's it for this episode of Game Day Glare.